Interesting news, we have the confirmation that Ukraine is really concentrated on Korneva and crossed the river definitely. Ukraine even imprisoned some of the Russian soldiers in the local settlements. So this guy is the Russian Marine who surrendered to Ukrainian army. He had no other choice. He did it in Durov village, which is not that far away from Korneva. Also, Ahmat battalion was fighting in the place, but he said that they run away, then Ukrainian army crossed the river. So Durov village is over here, and it means that all of this area is now taken by Ukrainian army. Moreover, in the coming days, I believe that Ukraine will start a counterattack towards Korneva from the north, cutting the very important road. The important thing for Ukraine is to organize supplies across the river. If it is done, there is no obstacles on the way to Korneva, from what I see. Here we have the Google satellite image. So Orgovka at first was taken by Ukraine. Later on, Ukraine moved towards Durovka. It's been confirmed that it's taken by Ukraine as well. Judging on the Russian reports, Ukrainian forces have been spotted in all of those three villages. Moreover, Ukraine went more to the north to cut the local railway, and the forces were spotted there too. Between those villages and Korneva, there is basically nothing, just the fields. A very flat terrain, while here is just a single valley, that's it. It's not the significant obstacle. Ukrainian forces will obviously try to take this road for the advancement. It means that the next week we're gonna see the fight for Korneva. Also, why do I think like that? Because Ukraine sent more reinforcements to the Kursk Oblast, including the Polish modification of the T-72 tank Tvardy. It has better armor protection and better aiming equipment. Speaking about three of the bridges which were HIMARS by Ukraine and were kaboomed, well, according to the new satellite images, you may see that the bridge, one of the bridges, is still out there. However, it's been so badly damaged that Russia is unable to transfer anything across it. That's why they built some sort of dependent bridge, but later on it was kaboomed by Ukraine and it went under the water, as you may see on this image. So still it is no go for the Russian logistics. The Ukrainian soldiers not just captured the Russian soldiers in the Kursk region, but also they captured their vehicles, their ammunition. For example, those are the boxes with the mortar mines. And this is the Russian police station which left some of the cars for Ukrainian armed forces. The Russian was Patriot and Lada, the new version of it, or maybe already old Lada Granta, something like that. Well, all of those vehicles will serve for Ukrainian army from now. At the same time, Russia intensified their attacks using FPV drones and other types of the drones, including Landsats, and sometimes they hit Ukrainian vehicles. For example, this is the Ukrainian air defense system Tunguska. It is the Soviet analog of the Gepard air defense, but I would say less effective, obviously, but still capable to hit some of the Russian flying vehicles, especially helicopters. Guys, I forgot one thing. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Ukraine also modernizes the Western equipment. For example, here you can see the Challenger 2 tank, which has the anti-drone mesh already, so Russia uses also lots of the FPV drones, and the only protection for now is the electronic warfare and those simple meshes. And you know what? Russia started to put those meshes to protect their oil tanks in the oil storages, because one of the biggest Russian oil facility in Rostov-on-Don is on fire already for 8 days. 8 days firefighters are unable to eliminate the fire. Well, actually they physically are unable to do it. But the new step in the Russian engineering is the rubber protection. Here you can see also the electronic warfare. By the way, this is the famous Russian Bukhanka van, and they mount the tires, the rubber tires on the sides. Well, maybe after all rubber helps, because Russians test everything on them. It could be that rubber absorbs the part of the energy. Well, anyways, it's some sort of the topic for Mythbusters TV show. My friends, if you want to support the job that I do on YouTube, you may also join my Patreon. The link for my page is available just in the video description below. Thank you so much for supporting my motivation. About the Kursk Oblast in general, well, I don't see the huge movement from the Ukrainian side any longer. Before Ukraine took lots of the ground, but from what I know, Ukraine sends new reinforcements. So probably now it's the stage to create reliable logistics in the region and also to regroup the forces for the further movement. I believe it's not yet over for Ukrainian territorial gains in the Kursk Oblast. Ukraine will continue its attacks. According to official information from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Ukraine recently moved by 3 kilometers somewhere in the Kursk Oblast. But on the other hand, Russia also tries to send their reinforcements to the region. First of all, Ahmat battalion, which is not that effective, also veterans from the Wagner group, conscripts, as you know already, Marines and paratroopers. All of those forces are unable to communicate with each other properly. Big problem for the Russian army resistance in the region, so they may have more reinforcements compared to Ukraine, but still they will not be able to hold the ground. Also, partially Russia sent the reinforcements from the Kherson region, the southern part of the occupied territory of Ukraine. Basically, Marines from 810th Brigades, and those were captured by Ukrainian soldiers in Durovka village not far away from Kornova. At the same time, TikTok soldiers just run away from their positions, as usual. But today more news came from Belarus. Belarus wants to send 1/3 of their total army to the border with Ukraine, mainly in the regions bordering Zhytomyr and Kiev Oblast. They also sent heavy artillery systems, MLRS systems, and aviation close to the border. But still the count of the forces which Belarus sent there for now is just 3,000 of the troops, 3,000 of the soldiers, which is absolutely no go for any sort of the assault mission. Well, Belarus promised to increase this group. We'll see it in the future, but Ukraine already asked Belarus officially to explain why the Belarus forces are spotted very close to Ukrainian border. At least some of them, the main group of the Belarus forces is located 50 kilometers away from the border. The self-proclaimed president of Belarus, Lukashenko, said that it's the response for Ukrainian actions that Ukraine is concentrating its forces close to Belarus, and he afraid for the possible Kursk scenario, but for Ukraine it's not profitable to get one more country into the war against Ukraine. Plus, Ukraine doesn't have that number of the resources to operate also against Belarus. Well, after all, I think that this attack will not happen. I mean, from the Belarus side. I know with what arguments Putin should press Lukashenko to start the war against Ukraine, but this scenario is kind of unreal, at least for now. Meanwhile, Russians say that during their liberation operation of the Kursk region, they will demolish absolutely everything. Those are the Russian military personnel, and Z bloggers are saying about it. So they call every civilian to leave the area. Yes, they're gonna pay you $150 to leave your home, to live somewhere in other place in Russia. Yep. For this reason, many of the locals decided to stay. And you know the number of the people who decided to leave this area? It's around 200,000, because people are not just evacuating from this place. No, they are leaving all of this entire area at least. Locals who decided to stay in Sudzha town, for example, are saying that everything is fine for them. There is no any pressure from the Ukrainian soldiers. It shows the big difference between the Ukrainian and the Russian armies. It is said that Ukraine lifted its flag in one of the villages of Belgorod, which is bordering Ukraine, but it looks like the flag was delivered to the local water tower with the help of the drone. The village itself is still under the Russian control. Ukraine is not attacking Belgorod Oblast or Bryansk Oblast, as Russians said before. The Ukrainian army limits its activity just in Kursk. I know that around 3 days ago there were some of the rumors that Ukraine started a new offensive towards Belgorod and Bryansk, but no, those are just the rumors. Ukraine partially opened the secret of its cruise missile drone. It is called Palanitsa, and it's not the same drone as I showed you in my previous video. No, for now we have just this computer image which doesn't look like the drone at all. Looks like the cruise missile, but indeed there is the operator who controls the direction of the drone. According to preliminary information, this drone should be big enough to strike a vast area, for example in the Russian military airfields, and should have the range of the ATACMS missile, something similar. For sure, it's the step forward for Ukraine to hit the Russian infrastructure deep inside the Russian territory. Ukraine wants to show that this red line could easily be crossed by using the long-range missiles. We know that the talks are ongoing for the ATACMS permission for Ukraine to be used on the Russian military airfields, but those talks are very small, so with this new prototype of the cruise missile drone, Ukraine tries to push our allies to give that permission. Around 1 month ago, Zelensky said that, okay, if you do not give us the permission, we have the way out, we're gonna use our own weaponry. We'll came out with some new solution, so I believe that it is the solution. Speaking about the drones, well, we see that Russia shared its Lancet drone technology with North Korea, so North Korea is able to produce those types of the drones on its own, well, maybe with some of the spare parts from Russia. The Lancer drones are probably the most effective Russian tool against the Ukrainian vehicles elsewhere and especially behind the front lines. With the help of the Lancer drones, Russia was able to stop the Ukrainian assault in the Kursk Oblast, in some part of the Kursk Oblast, causing damages even to Ukrainian artillery. So it's the close front line, very effective and very precise drone, which is able to operate within the range of around 50 kilometers, targeting the enemy artillery. So I would say that autocracies are much faster in sharing the military technologies and producing new weaponry. In supporting Ukraine, for example, we have this huge bureaucratic wall which still exists, but dictators with a single order may agree on something and it goes really fast. It is probably the main advantage of those autocracy regimes. But at the same time, if democratic countries agree on something, it is really hard to stop the train. So at the beginning everything is kind of slow, but later on it goes full scale and Ukraine will have everything needed, I believe, to hold against the Russian attacks. And at some point to get initiative and to repel the Russian forces out. We just need to wait for that, but how long? No one would tell you. What I know that the American shell production will increase gradually in the coming years, so Ukraine will have enough shells. This is the Russian helicopter Mi-8 that was shot down by Ukrainian army in the Kursk region. So helicopter had to make the forced landing. It was really hard, but the crew survived. It's already the fourth helicopter Russia loses in the Kursk Oblast since the beginning of the Ukrainian offensive. Ukraine also has those kind of the helicopters and now uses those to shut down the Russian Shahid drones, or it is better to say the Iranian Shahids. The full video, by the way, my friends, is available on my Telegram group. You may find it just in the video description below. So here the pilot of the helicopter flown just in parallel with the drone, and the machine gun operator hit the drone very precisely, downing the drone almost immediately. Adam Kadyrov, the son of the greatest Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov, has obtained the highest Medal of Honor. Yeah, actually not the Medal of Honor, but it's called the Medal of Kadyrov. And definitely it's the highest possible reward in Chechen Republic. The new thing that all of those Kadyrovs couldn't be cringier, they came out with something really new that astonishes everyone. It's probably the most clownish stuff I have ever seen. Alright, few more words about Durov's arrest. It seems like he is in the immigration prison in Charles de Gaulle airport for now. But according to the most recent information, his arrest was prolonged for an uncertain period of time. The question is why he went to France after all. I subscribed for his Telegram page, and around 2 months ago, on June 10th, he said that as a French citizen, I agree that France is the best holiday destination. So maybe he went to France for that particular purpose, but the destination Paris is kind of wrong for that, because it is located quite far away from Nice, for example, one of the most popular tourist destinations on the south of France. Well, maybe he planned the stop in Paris at first, but there could be, as usual, woman involved in all of this case. In this particular case, Yulia Ivanova, who is the model, she lives in Dubai, probably together with Pavel Durov because she travels on his jet. And she visits the same places where Pavel Durov was spotted. Here it was Azerbaijan, here you see her at the shooting range, and this is Pavel Durov at the same time at the same spot of the shooting range. Yulia is the streamer and online influencer, so the woman that was spotted with Durov's company by the time Durov was arrested in Paris was her. Definitely. I'm not saying that she led to that arrest, but after all, I think that Durov was thinking about vacation with her in France. So without her, he wouldn't be probably going there. Again, it is just my conclusion based on Telegram posts and based on the company Durov traveled with. It's not for the business. Probably. You understand that the Russian propaganda is using the case in their favor, well, not just Russians, but also across the ocean in the United States. Some of the influencers, let's say, including Elon Musk. But the real case is not about Russia or the United States. The real case is about freedom of speech. You know, some say that X platform is free, but no. Elon Musk, the owner, he leans towards one side. But Telegram keeps neutral. As for all of this arrest case, guys, I already shared my opinion in the previous video. I think that Telegram should be free from every sort of the government involvement. And accusing the founder of Telegram for the crimes committed in the social network, or you may call it it a messenger, but it's far beyond the messenger right now, is as same as accusing some sort of the CEO of the company which produces the knives that his or her knives are used in some certain crimes. Telegram is just a tool, and how people use this tool depends on people, not on CEO of Telegram. Some pro-Ukrainian channels say that Durov works for FSB, that Telegram is bad, that Durov visited Azerbaijan to meet with Putin, but the meeting wasn't conducted because Putin was against it. For now, I consider everything of that is just a bullshit. There is basically no evidence, and Telegram is used by Ukrainian soldiers as well as Russians. Also, Telegram is used by Ukrainian propaganda as well as the Russian propaganda. Again, it is a tool and everyone is using it in its favor, as the army men use Kalashnikov on the front lines from both of the sides, so no one accuses Kalashnikov for that, right? For this reason I also have my Telegram channel, because this tool is awesome. I like it a lot, and I hope that Durov will be released. He is not guilty just because he is Russian, no. By the way, he also has Ukrainian relatives and Ukrainian roots, and how they develop their project. So as my mom's family comes from Ukraine, I was curious about this language, blah blah blah. So his mom comes from Ukraine. And again, he speaks that the platform is neutral, where the same rules applied for each side. He also mentioned that 70% of Ukrainians are using Telegram, well, mainly because Ukrainians see that the general information from the Ukrainian government is not valid in many of the cases. So in Telegram, you may get the real picture, more or less. Well, Ukrainian TV is not that crazy as the Russian one in its propaganda, but still it is the part of the propaganda, pro-Ukrainian propaganda, which shows that we are winning, but the real picture is not given. That's why our people rely mostly on influencers, bloggers like me on Telegram. Because I'm not only speaking about Ukrainian wins, but also about Ukrainian losses, and you'll not find that on TV channels in Ukraine. Unfortunately for today, we do not have the recent military map update from Ukrainian front lines, at least from the deep state military map source. Let's check out the other sources. Well, from the Institute for the Study of War, you may see the Russian forces advancement close to Toretsk. All of those changes are within the last 24 hours. Also, I'd like to read the Telegram channel of one of the other battalion soldiers, or it's better to say officers. And really here he tells the picture as it is. The Pokrovsk direction is very terrible for us. No one in the media wants to share the real picture. The half of Novgorodivka is already under the Russian control, and that settlement is more or less not destroyed. It means that there is the absence of the stable position of the Ukrainian armed forces, and the Russian artillery has the minimum losses. And here we may check the settlement he was talking about, Novgorodivka, and he already said that it's half taken by the Russian side, so it means something like that. Well, actually, I was sure that there is the robust Ukrainian defense line. At least some of the other soldiers shared the information about it. However, at the same time, the IDAR battalion officer says that the situation in the Chasiv Yar is plus-minus stable. Russia tries to perform the small attacks in attempt to cross the river. They also use lots of the FPV drones, but Ukraine successfully repels all of the Russian assaults for now. So that is basically how you may get the information on Telegram from Ukrainian soldiers who do not afraid to share the real picture. Telegram already helped many of the times to raise the awareness of the bad situation for Ukrainian soldiers, or the bad situation with the Ukrainian command, because many people read those groups, they start to share this information elsewhere. And that's how it goes to the highest military or political Ukrainian command. That's how actually General Sodol was removed from his position. General Sodol was definitely a butcher of the Ukrainian army. Hopefully he will be prosecuted for all of his crimes. There are many soldiers and officers of Ukrainian armed forces, Ukrainian Marines, and the Azov regiment who told that Sodol is definitely a war criminal. So I just hope that Telegram will continue its operation normally, and it shouldn't be restricted from any of the sides. Russians tried to restrict it, now European Union, also United States, Ukraine, I know about it, but this platform is actually a freedom. Freedom of speech, you may say, at least from the perspective I see it. I am free to tell about any sort of the information on Telegram. No one will ban me, no one will restrict me. If you guys disagree with me, it is also normal. It is also a freedom of speech, and you may share your own opinion in the comment section just below. I will not delete anything. Yes, if your comment passes the standard YouTube moderation. I guess I already told what I want to tell about Telegram, so the next update will be hopefully that Durov is released from custody, or in the worst case, then he'll be imprisoned. Before that, I'll not speak about Durov or Telegram. Just the usual stuff as in every of my videos. Subscribe for my Telegram group. It is awesome. You'll be updated on the information around Ukraine and not only. Now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.